Let me ask you a question, and I need you to answer it honestly. Why do some people build massive mansions back home when their children live abroad, have no intention of returning, and no emotional connection to the home? I'm not talking about comfort here. I'm not talking about success. I'm talking about the intent because we keep seeing the same story. A powerful man builds a palace. The man passes on, the home becomes abandoned or sold, and legacy quietly evaporates. Let's talk about it.
YinkusPepe Talks. Intelligent kind of buzz for the heart and the thinking mind. Marriage, culture, commentary too. Life in the diaspora explain for.
So for some days now, I've been seeing a lot of people talking about Igbo mansions in the village. Why do Igbo people like to waste money and build mansions, houses that they don't live in? Some of them don't even come home every year or every now and then, but they pack money and go and build mansions in the village. Listen, yet ago, there is something they call in Igbo Ruo Uno. If you are alive, or if your father tell you the story of what happened during the Biafran War, how they took everything from Igbos living in Lagos, across Nigeria. They took everything, their houses, their money they have in the bank. So they have to go back. Some of them, but also when able also Biafra, they have to start afresh again. Some of them lost their houses. So in order not to that thing to happen again, to prevent such thing happening again, we don't know if it's going to happen. We don't pray it happen, but anything can happen in this life. So that's why when they get their money, they have to go. If you like be in America, be successful anywhere, you have to go back and build something for yourself. It's a tradition. It's a culture that has been existing. I think it's still out there because God forbid something happens to you maybe you are in Spain or UK. You lost everything, you were deported. At least you go back to home and have something that you can lay your head. Your children can come back and enter inside the house. These are one of the reasons. Because sometimes, look at what's happening in the north now. Also, so now, when it starts now, you start running helter-skelter, you lose your money, you lose your businesses. Where do you run to? You go back to the village. At least you are not paying rent. You start from there again. So this is one of the major reasons. It's not like it's showing off. No. It's a tradition, and if you look at what I said, if you think about it well, you will see the reason why, you see the meaning. So next time you see an Igbo people showing their houses or building houses, it gets why. If you like, when you get your own money, go to Brazil and build your own, or go to whatever and build your own. Akuruo Uno. Ask an Igbo person to explain to you. Akuruo Uno.
Now, this conversation here was triggered by a story circulating online about a late Nigerian billionaire and the massive mansion he built in Delta State. I'm talking about a house so large, it's been described as one of the biggest private residences in the country, the entire Nigeria. This is not about mocking wealth, and it's not about disrespecting the dead. It's about talking and asking a deeper question. What is the real intent and purpose of these mansions, especially when the next generation has no interest? Number one, for many, the house is not for the children. No, it's not. Let's start with that uncomfortable truth. Many of these mansions you see were never built for the children. They were built for status, for symbolism, for I have arrived, a statement to peers, a proof of success to the village, a physical answer to who made it. In many African cultures, the house is not shelter, it's evidence. Evidence that you didn't fail, evidence that you rose, and evidence that your name matters. So when people say, but his children won't even live there, they missed the point. The house was never about them. No. The children grew up in a different world. Here is the generational disconnect nobody wants to admit. Many of these children grew up abroad, built identity elsewhere. They have their own families. They don't romanticize the village. They don't measure success by land or buildings or value mobility over monuments. To them, a massive mansion back home is not legacy, it's a maintenance burden, a security risk, an emotional obligation they didn't ask for or sign for. You cannot impose nostalgia on someone who never ever lived the memory. Number 3, when we build structures but don't build the meaning. This is where things get deep. Some parents build structures but never build connections. They assume, I built it, they will come. I suffered, they must maintain it. This is their inheritance. But inheritance without emotional ownership becomes a liability. Legacy is not cement. Legacy is shared memory. If your children don't understand why the house exists, they will not fight to preserve it. Number 4, is it ego, fear, or unfinished business? Now, let's be honest and gentle at the same time. For some builders, the mansion is a response to childhood lack, a reaction to humiliation, a fear of being forgotten, a way to outlive mortality. It says, I was here, I mattered, you will remember me. But here's the hard truth we don't often talk about. If memory depends on a building, it was already fragile to begin with. Number 5, when the house outlives the purpose. This is how waste happens. Quietly, the house sits empty, is poorly maintained, gets sold off cheaply, or becomes a tourist curiosity, not because the children are wicked, but because purpose was never transferred. A house without a living vision becomes a museum, and museums eventually close. What real legacy looks like. Real legacy is not about how big your house is. It's about how aligned your values are across generations. If your children don't want the house, maybe the question isn't what's wrong with them. Maybe the question is, what story was the house meant to tell, and to whom? Because legacy that cannot be carried was never built to last. Now, if this conversation stirred something in you, good. Sit with it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you maintain a massive family house you didn't grow up in? Let's talk about it. Do you see mansions as legacy or ego? I'd like to know. If you value honest conversations about culture, money, meaning, and everything in between, you are in the right place. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe for more. And until next time, this is your girl, YinkusPepe.
YinkusPepe Talks. Intelligent kind of buzz for the heart and the thinking mind. Marriage, culture, commentary too. Life in the diaspora,